Extreme health is healthy. Um, all right, Chris, hit the music.
Oh wow! All right, the music is going to start us off. Hold on. That's a nice tune.
It's a good lead-in.
It gets better and better
We needed that. I feel like we just needed that
as
right there. Oh,
everybody.
oh, here we are. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
How are we doing, Chris?
Doing pretty well actually. Overall, just feeling good. Gotten used to the lock stay at home lock
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it. But we're feeling very good over here. That's all you can do. What else can you do?
It's all you can do. Well, that's an incredible segment because today we have Karin Purugganan. Karin is Director of Community Engagement and a resident in counseling at the Wise family. Um, this is kind of a perfect topic for right now. Karen's going to talk to us about all kinds of things we can do, things kids are experiencing, things that kids can do on their own, that we can do as coaches, that parents can do as parents, all kinds of good information. Karen, before you introduce yourself, I just want to say, share a little bit about the Wise family because we have that on the screen as under here as where you work. So the Wise family is a Northern Virginia-based counseling and assessment practice that has been around for over 30 years. They do training and experience in the field of child and adolescent development, focusing on the emotional and intellectual strengths in children, teens and families, which is very much where ASA is focused. And so this is kind of marrying all of our loves, I guess. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got into counseling.
Yeah, well, my name is Karin Purugganan, and I've known Chris for a while. He coached my oldest daughter um,
Oh,
on one of her travel teams.
Shout out
Hey,
Thunder,
Chris.
all the former Thunder players that are
Oh
listening.
my gosh, that was back in the day.
Thunder. That's a great team name.
That was a great team. Um, and so I'm native Alexandrian, born and raised here, went to public schools all the way. Um, I have five kids ranging in age from college to kindergarten. I spent 14 years doing pediatric and neonatal critical care at Fairfax
Oh,
Hospital
wow.
before deciding I needed a change and better work life balance for my family and went back to George Washington University and got a counseling degree. And
That's
I am a
awesome.
school counselor during the day. And in the evenings, I work at the Wise family, seeing kids of all ages for all different types of things. And it's awesome.
So very cool. Before if I can kind of circle back, we
Please.
kind of skipped over a little bit. I know that you mentioned going to school here locally at TC Williams.
The Titans.
I know that you have a passion for soccer as well, and many in the area would know you as a legend the soccer field. So to not skip over that, tell us a little bit about your time at TC playing soccer.
I don't know if legend is exactly the term that comes to mind when I remember it. I was quite a few years ahead of your wife Liz, so we did not
Life.
actually get to play together. I think soccer was my first love. I was just fell hard, and I love to play. I still play. I play co-ed in the Masters League, and I play in a women's league in Arlington. I loved playing at TC. I got to play with some amazing players. And I
You were
think
an
we're lucky in Northern Virginia. What's
you
that?
were an early ASA player too, right?
I was like OG ASA. I mean, I was telling Katie earlier when we were little and playing, I think it was $25 a year to play. And if your parents volunteered to line the field with probably cancer causing agents, then you got like free, tuition for the year or whatever. So I was out with my dad every Saturday morning lining some fields.
That's so
Um,
awesome.
Back when the Mount Vernon, you'll all the OGs will remember we had orange jerseys. We were just
Mm,
like the thugs of soccer. It was great.
Well, if you pull any of those old jerseys from the closet or
yeah.
share them with us, we can definitely. We love to get pictures and old uniforms and things like that from back in the day. So, especially with our 50th year,
Whoop
this is
Oh
whoop.
my gosh.
so.
Whew.
That's crazy. That means I was really close to being the super OG then. Hmm. Ouch.
oh.
And now all my kids play. Philomena, my oldest, played all the way through. Chris was her coach. She ended up falling in love with field hockey and playing college field hockey for 4 years. But the youngers all still play, and I coached two of them in futsal this winter, and unfortunately wasn't able to coach my kindergartner this spring because of the
Yeah.
quarantine. But yeah, they all love to play, and it's so fun to have seen ASA grow into this huge entity with all of these amazing coaches. It makes my heart happy.
That's awesome. That's so nice. We appreciate that. um okay, so let's just dive in if that's okay. Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit. Well, first of all, I'm interested. How has your work and your meetings with individuals or groups? I'm sure there's a Zoom, option here, but what does your day look like now, kind of in this time, and how are you meeting people?
Yeah, it's really different. I mean, schools around the area have chosen to do different things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still offering lessons during the school day for students, but for equity reasons, it's been very difficult to reach out to individual students,
Mm-hmm.
which is very different than private practice. I've been very lucky. Dr. Amy Parks is the one who founded our practice, and she's super forward thinking. And the second that we knew that this was a possibility, we were basically all immediately telehealth trained.
Wow.
And so everyone in our practice is seeing um, clients virtually.
Mm-hmm.
I see between 4 and 6 kids or moms a week. I say about 8 feet apart. And
Wow.
we hang out and work through what we're working through that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to be flexible, but also just keep everyone's health in mind.
Absolutely. What are you I mean, I know every individual is different and every person is different, but as we've sort of transitioned and there are new stresses, especially on kids, they're no longer seeing their friends, they don't have school as an outlet. They're like, as a child, their worlds are changed so differently than anything they've like ever experienced. What kinds of things are you seeing in kids maybe that you hadn't seen before, and how are you handling that?
Yeah, so I specialize mostly in 3 different areas. I see a lot of anxious kids.
Mm-hmm.
I also love to work with elite athletes for obvious reasons. And then I have a special place in my heart for kids who have chronic illnesses or who have had extended hospitalizations
Mm.
just because of my background. And it's interesting because the anxious kids I work with, there's a whole group of them who actually are doing amazing.
Wow.
They don't have the pressure of going to school or the social
Yeah.
anxiety part with friends. So they're doing tremendously. They're feeling so great at home. We're able to work on a lot of skills without having these kind of extraneous stresses going on.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I'm seeing with a whole other group of kids the difficulty that comes with not being able to burn off a lot of energy. and the consistent schedule that kind of keeps kids kind of comforted. Kids are really love to have expectations and schedules. It really does make them feel comforted. And
Mm-hmm.
without any of that, I mean, I don't know about you two, but I feel like it's Groundhog Day sometimes. Like I'm waking up and it's like the same thing. It's a little, well, it's a lot weird for sure. It's kind of
Yes.
unprecedented. But I do feel like it has kind of ratcheted up the anxiety level for some of our kids who are then expressing that in sometimes not always very desirable ways, which is difficult for parents in a time when, let's face it, this is just difficult anyway. So yeah, we're working with a lot of kids on a lot of those things right now.
Wow, that's super interesting too. I mean, it's I think so. One question I have, Karen, is more of I'm trying to put myself in the kids' shoes, um, which is obviously challenging. But from an adult perspective, putting myself in the kids' shoes, how are you noticing that they're interpreting, the things that are going on right now? I mean, from an adult point of view, there's things that like I know that I'm working on at work and life planning and things like that. From the kids' perspective, what is it? What does this time look like to them?
I'm hearing a lot of annoyed kids, kind of like, why does my teacher think I still need to do this? Or I feel like parents are home and available now. So if you don't do your chores, guess what? They'll just ask you like 10 times. And then kids are like, why does my mom want me to unload the dishwasher? So I feel like I'm feeling frustration from them.
Mm-hmm.
I will say with my own kids, I think they think this is wonderful. And I think that's a gift to a lot of children is that they don't actually know kind of how terrifying this could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed a lot of parents who have put structures in place to allow kids to just know that school's a priority, reading's a priority, exercise, being outside, being safe are priorities, but they don't actually know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do worry after this is over, what kind of mental health state are we going to be in as a country, I mean, in the world in general, just kids who have been kind of cooped up. I'm at a Title I school in Arlington, and a lot of our kids are stuck inside.
Mm-hmm.
They have parents who can't work. They are having trouble getting food. I think um, it's a real big sign of the haves and the have-nots, which is hard. I keep having to check my privilege all the time that I have a card to go get groceries, that I have a job that's still paying me, these types of things. So I do wonder what kind of state our kids are going to be in when this is all said and done, which I
Mm-hmm.
think the hard part too is that none of us kids typically like to know when things have an end, right?
Yeah.
And none of us have that answer. So I think it's an added stressor to most adults.
Yeah. What how are you handling, and maybe even with your own kids, that sort of uncertainty? Cuz I feel like, right, kids are like, when are we going here? What's for dinner? Like what? And it's like we don't know when it ends, like when we go. I mean, I guess they know they're not going back to school, but do you have tips for, there's a cattail. do
I love
you
it. Kitty.
When is she gonna get out of here?
do you uh,
Why is this woman still here all day?
literally, she's like, why are you looking at this thing? Um yeah, but yeah, I don't, yeah, how are you helping kids that need some sort of like bit of structure in that regard?
Yeah, I think it's so hard because I like to know what's expected, right? I
Yeah.
like to know, you guys told me what time to be here, what we should talk about. Like everyone loves a framework um to live within,
Yeah.
and kids kind of, I mean, have no, have nothing. I mean, I'm scared. I don't know if we're going to go back to school in the fall.
Mhm.
Most colleges have said where they're going to be online. So I feel like if you can ground yourself in what you do know, right?
Mhm.
Know right now that we're all working really hard to keep our family safe
Mm-hmm.
because we're all staying inside and we're not going to school, we're not going to stores. I tend to do work a lot of kids with mindfulness and meditation just so that they can, you're always in control of your own breath. You can sometimes be in control of your thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
feelings, but focusing on what you can control is really important. Like, you have no control that your coach isn't able to have practice every week, but you do have control over how many touches a day you get on a ball, or if you go for a run or if you don't go for a run. Those
Yeah.
are choices that you have. So I think if you can try to live in the land of what I do have control over, hopefully you'll feel a little grounded during this time.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um, Go ahead, Chris.
So just on that, I mean, thinking of the athlete too, and
Yeah.
I'm curious just of hearing from you. I mean, I think I know from my or have my own perspective, but how much of an influence sport can play in terms of providing a outlet or an avenue for youth to be able to combat some of the sort of stress, anxiety, and different things that go into it. I mean, what is how does sport fit into that?
So obviously, I'm totally biased here,
Yeah.
but because all of my kids play team sports and I played and coached team sports, but I think team sports just offer so much to kids. First of all, there's YouTube, right? There is a different adult that my child now has to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
My child is getting expectations from. My child's receiving consequences from. I mean, I think team sports are amazing because of the connections that are made. You basically have a group of friends. I mean, don't tell Liz, your wife, Chris, don't tell her this, but the reason we made Philomena try it out for field hockey was because it starts in August. You're practicing a whole month before the school year starts. And then you start the school year with a whole group of friends.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't because I wanted her to be great at field hockey. I had no aspirations of her going on to be
Hold on a second.
a field hockey athlete, but she had a group of friends where she already knew faces. And so I feel like, especially at this time where we don't have that physical connection with each other, a team still offers this connection. I mean, the coaches, you were mentioning on the show not too long ago, Chris, that somebody showed up to one of your sessions playing, a song for your team. I mean, it's those kinds of connection makes, right? Sports were always a place where I could try really hard, and if I messed up, my team supported me, which is a life lesson that I think all kids kind of need to have, right?
Yeah, it's interesting
Absolutely.
how that's like carrying out right now with doing it virtually. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just a shout out to our coaches at the club
Yes.
and staff too, just trying to get different training activities or even just physical activities that the kids can stay active at home. I mean, it's been really cool to see. I know a lot of our coaches are spending a lot of time trying to do that, and hopefully, it's making an impact on the kids to be able to have that outlet in their day.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it is. I have to imagine that it is.
Do you have any like, I don't know if tips is the right word, but our coaches are doing a really good job of checking in with their teams, and or providing, workouts for them to do or challenges each week. I did see that even recently our U9 girls team had their soccer challenge each week, and then they had like a social challenge, and things were like cook a meal for your family or lead a family workout to kind of get them interacting with their family members in their home in a new way. So all that to say, are there other things we should be focusing on with our kids aside from, soccer related things, or maybe checking in on school or feelings, or how are you handling things?
Yeah, I would say that as coaches to these kids,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'm sure a lot of times they see you as like a parent figure, right? You're offering the support and the encouragement that they want in this team, but also they are, sometimes having consequences or not meeting expectations, which is similar to a parent.
Yeah.
I mean, I always like anyone who's interacting with children, just in general, to know signs of mental illness, be aware of suicide, and
Mhm.
you know kids will likely reach out to you if they need something. So if you see a change in behavior, marked changes in affect or emotion, crying for no reason. I feel like all the coaches at ASA would do this. So the ones I know, I would
Mhm.
trust them with, um, my child. I obviously do. So I think the nice part about being on a team is you have that support around you, for good and for bad. If one kid is going through, an injury and not able to play, and how hard that is, um, you know, the lessons from that can be learned by all of the kids on the team. How
Yeah.
frustrating it can be not to play, ways that you support the team when you're not able to physically play, which is why those social challenges, I think, are so great. Being a great teammate, it carries over everywhere. You guys aren't playing on the soccer field right now, but I can tell that you two are a really strong team, and there's
Mhm.
trust between you two. And so I think, you know, anytime a coach can teach, like beyond the field,
Mhm.
it's kind of a great thing, right? Like that we want to be great people. We want to be givers and takers. We want to set boundaries, we want to meet expectations. We want to set goals. Those are all things that kids need to learn, and a team is kind of a great place to do that.
That's awesome.
I just to piggyback on that question, I think that Katie was asking. I mean, again, sort of relating it back to our coaches, especially coaches who are coaching at, I guess it can go for any age, but I mean, look, there are times where, as a coach, there are kids that come to a practice and maybe they're having a challenging day, or that affects their behavior at a practice, and they may disrupt a practice in terms of the expectations that a coach has set for their practice. I'm curious if there are any suggestions that you could pass on to some coaches in terms of how to handle that, right? So, for example, even a high school age kid, if they're coming out of a tough day from school and all these different things that are happening in the at school, and then they come out to practice. I know some coaches utilize things like maybe giving them 10 minutes prior to the practice just to kind of unwind. Are there some tips like that, or resource that you might be able to share in order for our coaches to sort of deal with those scenarios as they come?
Yeah, I think that coaches tend to know who their more emotional and less emotional players are. So I think it would definitely be individualized when you notice which kind of kid it is. I mean, I know, Chris, I've seen you kind of put your arm around someone's shoulder and kind of walk them away from the group and have a little powwow. And I think that's helpful for a lot of kids, just acknowledging that something's going on. Sometimes they just want to be noticed. Sometimes they want to talk about it. I think it's a great option to say, if soccer's not happening for you today, do you want to sit? Do you want to be a coach today? Do you want to help me run drills?
Mhm.
Do you need, like you said, 5 or 10 minutes, and then you'll come join us? I think anything physical, like, here's the sideline. When you step on this field, you're a soccer player now. So if you're not ready to step onto the field, then you can stay over there. But like, giving kids options is always really helpful, because in a time when kids feel like they have no control, they're kind of told what to do almost all the time. It's kind of nice to give them some option. But I think also just those caring words of, you're part of this team. We wouldn't be the same without you. Um, um, and I think maybe role reversal, like that idea of letting them be the coach for a little bit, can give them a different perspective too, because if they notice kids are being unruly, they suddenly realize, gosh, this is really frustrating to run a practice when some people aren't listening. I wonder how Coach Chris feels about this sometimes. I also tend to do, I think the nice thing about sports is, they're so physical. Sometimes that kid needs to just run a lap, maybe the whole team needs to run a lap. And I don't mean that in a punitive way. I mean it in very much like if you can physically get out whatever's bugging you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe choosing to start the activity with, instead of a slow warm up, maybe it's something really intense to kind of get the kids, get everything out. But like I said, I'm a huge fan of mindfulness. I know Robin DeYoung has done a lot of work with ASA too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anytime you can have, collective breathing, taking time during stretching where everyone cohesively is focused on, some type of positive mindset, gratitude of some kind can be really helpful as well.
Yeah. With that reminded me, because Robin has done some really good stuff, and my team has done some really interesting exercises where, as a kid, we do this like group breathing, and they kind of go into it with their kid mentality, and then later that week they're telling me like, I did that before my test and it really helped. Like, I was very calm. I'm like, yes, I told you, like we told you that would be the case. So with right now, they're, aside from the soccer part of it, right, they're missing some of those other, like, maybe skills we would be practicing and doing. Do you have mindfulness resources or things you do with your kids that you find really effective that we could encourage or share?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of my kids on there, they, half of them have iPods. We download mindfulness apps.
Mm-hmm.
Calm.com has a great one. I like
Mm-hmm.
Insight Timer. I think Apple has its own variation of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are two things I really like to do with my kids. One's a body scan meditation. That's where, so the idea of mindfulness and meditation is that if you were to able to calm yourself completely and clear your mind of anything.
Mm-hmm.
In our day and age of, we all talked before where we have like, I think I have two computers and a phone. I mean, it's insane,
Yes.
right? So we're kind of input all the time.
Yeah.
So I even have, and I'm a yoga instructor too. I have a hard time with mindfulness sometimes because it's hard to just clear your mind of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to do a body scan meditation. That's a meditation where someone's talking you through relaxing every part of your body. It's a really great thing that coaches can do as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially, one of the things I love about team is the fact that you're losing. So there are times where your emotions can be running so high that it's funny, but if someone is telling you to breathe and telling you to relax your hands and to relax your feet and to relax your legs, it's really helpful. My kids tend to do it at night before going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some amazing Insight Timer. Julie Lewin is one of my favorite. I think she's British or Australian, and she has this very calm, relaxing. She also does guided meditations as well, and that's the same idea. There's someone talking you through, and because of technology now, there's a ton of practitioners around the world who do these type of guided meditations for kids. So Isabel Mary Fitzgerald is one on Insight Timer. My kids listen to her. She does a garden meditation, a waterfall meditation, bubble meditation.
I love
right?
that. I want that right now.
It's great. It's a great way for if you have 8 to 15 minutes where you need to kind of just escape from everything. And a lot of them are focused on gratitude, but there's a lot of focusing on breathing and just kind of being, which is really, really helpful. Do you need a meditation, Chris?
Fantastic. That. I mean, just it is very important to try to fit that into to your day. I'm curious. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, just particularly with Philomena, right? Just because she's your oldest and has now, is in her final year of college and has going through the process of not only, I mean, Philomena's a phenomenal student and athlete. So kudos to you. Obviously, she was an exceptional athlete to coach. Maybe Katie, one of my top athletes that I've ever coached.
That's awesome.
in terms of her mentality, her work rate, and as a teammate. Um, I'm curious just for parents too, because I'm trying to relate this sort of to some of the anxieties that can come in the youth sports world, and trying to play in college, or play a sport in college. And I'm just curious of how much practice you did with Philomena, to help her, take some of these skills, in terms of, whether it's through meditation or whatever it may be, to sort of keep, a great perspective, a level head, and obviously she's still extremely determined, right? But is able to keep those emotions in check, is how I feel. How much, like, did you spend time doing that, and how receptive, of that was she?
Yes, and I will embarrassingly admit to you that I spent an excessive amount of time on it with her because I was not that player. I mean, I think people loved having me on their team. I could score goals, but I would also like throw down in the middle of a game, because I had no check on my emotions. And I didn't want that for her. And I think what I didn't have as a kid was, the foresight to see, by the time you get to TC, you're playing with kids from 11 different elementary schools. So when we're coaching kids at kindergarten, first, second, third grade, and they're looking at other teams and being like, I hate that team. They're so good. It's like, no, you love that team because that kid right there who just balled you, he's going to be on your team in high school. Like, this is great. But I did spend a lot of time with her because of a few different things. One thing is, um, I mean, I feel very old now, but I can still play soccer and I still choose to play soccer because I love it that much.
Uh-huh.
And I saw enough kids who were pushed and burned out by even high school that they've never touched a soccer ball since then. And I never wanted that for my kid. I wanted her to have a lifelong love of a sport. So it took a lot of me checking myself. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, and Chris knows this because I was a soccer player and he was coaching her. I had to be like, I think she's leaning a little bit more towards field hockey. And that had to be, I had to be okay with that, which is hard. So I think
Yeah.
parents have to check themselves. Where are we coming from? I had Philomena instead of going to college, so it would be totally natural for me to play out all of my own unfulfilled whatever on
Mm-hmm.
her, but that's not what I wanted for her. And so it took me checking myself a lot. It took me also realizing that I'm her mother and not her friend. So that's a very big difference. Your kids are only given, luckily nowadays, a few parents. There are step parents and bonus parents, but
Mm-hmm.
they will have a lot of friends in their lives. They will have very few parents. And so my job was to call her out when her behavior was, inappropriate. My job was to tell her after the game, you need to go thank your coach.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go thank the referee. And I think also I needed to be really patient. I mean, I remember taking her to her first. She at first thought she wanted to play D3 field hockey, and we drove 6.5 hours to Oberlin. I loved it. I was ready for her to. I was ready for my husband, the English professor, to move to Oberlin with us for her to go to this school. But she schooled everyone on that field. And on the way back, I could tell that night. I had one extra night in the hotel, and I thought she's gonna have to play D1 if she wants to be if she wants to play competitively.
Mm-hmm.
But I could not tell her that. I called my husband and talked to him for 4 hours about it. In 6.5 hour drive home from Ohio, I did not mention it. I let
Wow.
her come to that conclusion on her own that if she really felt like this is what she wanted to do, she was going to have to go for it. It wasn't something I was going to do for her. So I think parenting's hard. We don't get it all right. I think I got lucky because she's really amazing. But I think from a young age, teaching your kid to be coachable will last them in a lot of things because teachers are coaches, counselors are coaches. If you teach a child, to ask, I have her go to Chris. What do I know about that soccer drill? She doesn't want to hear it from me. Go ask Chris what you should be doing to play more time. Go ask Chris what you should be doing in your downtime to improve. So
Yeah.
Well, she never had to ask me about playing time. We played about every minute.
Wow. I'm going to clip that like 5-minute answer because that was so good. And so many things that I think we as coaches and like as club administrators can see, like really the difference between a kid whose parents is a supportive, respectful cheerleader versus a coaching on the sideline, and that kid's mentality when they walk over to us, you know, and like their body language. And so I think those are like every bullet point we want right there.
Well, and I think Chris will tell you, I was not the coach. In those situations, Chris is the coach. So I'm not. It's just like your teacher. Your teacher wants you to do 500 multiplication problems. We're going to have to do that. What do I mean, leave the expertise with the experts, right? You know, let them do their job. And some coaches are going to coach the way the parents want, and some coaches aren't, but you still have to teach your child to be coachable and to be respectful to whoever's in charge.
For sure.
It's so good. Just because we really like, because I've seen it though. I mean, this is not like I've seen it, and she has now gone on for 4 years, you know, playing varsity Division I field hockey. But the thing, and could have done it for soccer, no question. Could have done it for soccer. And I think what's important though is just in general though, the idea of the player making their own decision too, right? Like as a coach and with Karin as a parent, there was never a time that I felt like she was trying to like make her Phil decide something or this or that or the other, or how she was going to interact with me as a coach. She was able to sort of make decisions on her own. I thought that that was really important. And I think one of those big decisions was transferring from soccer to field hockey and making that decision for herself. I respected that a ton as a coach, even though I wanted to continue to convince her to play soccer.
And we kind of cried inside, didn't we, Chris? We were crying inside. I was like, I can't believe she's doing this to me. I tell her all the time she switched to that sport because I don't know what's going on. I'm like, good job hitting the ball. I don't know what you're doing out there. There's no offsides. It's not really a corner. I mean, come on.
Oh, everything.
Everything. Foot. I'm like, you should be using your feet. You should be playing soccer. But you're right. That's not what I needed. And I think it does concern me then because people ask, what did you do to get her to do that? I will tell you what we didn't do. We didn't at 8 years old say, you can't go to birthday parties because you have soccer. You can't play any other sport. You have to play this sport. I mean, she is super lucky that as a D1 athlete, she was never injured. I mean, she did end up having to have surgery at the end of her junior year, which was very difficult for her. But I think cross training and playing multiple sports and playing an instrument and being interested in things outside of school, you have to really look at your whole child. And I do get very concerned when people say, well, if I can pay for a trainer and have them play on these 2 teams for one sport at a very young age, I just see that kid burning out, which is, you know, you got to kind of, you know, temper yourself a little on that.
For sure. That's awesome. As we sort of wrap up here, we have a few more minutes. This is like a loaded question because I know we don't know, but I almost am thinking, right, everybody, kids included, in some aspect perhaps are getting comfortable in their home routine. So do you have any thought, and it's again loaded, like what will the reverse culture shock be like of like, now you have to leave your house every day and maybe you're back to your scheduled activities. I don't know. Do you think that's going to look different, or kids are going to react, or just be like so happy to be back that it'll be fine?
I'm sure there will be all of the above. Right?
Yeah.
I frankly am very worried about my anxious kids that are super happy to be home right now.
Yeah.
A lot of them were dealing with school refusal anyway, which was the idea that they were terrified to even go into a school building and all of the things that come with that. And I really worried. We're going to see a lot of student refusal come fall or spring when schools do open again. Um, I think we all have to be flexible.
Yeah.
Again, what do we have control over? Anytime. The nice thing about a soccer practice is I wonder if that first year we're back, we could just say practice starts at 6, but in your mind, practice is starting at 6:15, right? We're not really starting, or the first 10 minutes is a debrief where we go around and we share, like, what was the best part of the day, and an effort to kind of just get the group together, but not really penalize those who are running late. I feel like this is going to be me. I'm going to be late to every single thing that I have to do. But I think if you're seeing students or parents are seeing kids that are really overly anxious, the one thing our practice, well, not the one thing, many things our practice is known for, but we are very well known for our groups. And I'm starting groups next week before summer. I'll be running groups all over summer. We're going to do them virtually, and the 2 groups I'm running right now are confidence code for 5th and 6th grade girls. And then I'm running also an anxiety group for 2nd through 4th graders. And group therapy is amazing. I mean, you know how it is on a team when kids can look around and know that someone else is feeling the same way about them.
Yep.
It's incredibly empowering for kids. So I think if you're noticing that it is just not the same, I would say don't hesitate to bring it up to the parents and see if there's a way that they could get supports, whatever that looks like.
That's great. I'm going to drop your link to the Family Wise in the description of this video afterwards, so anybody who's watching, you can get more information about that. For sure. Sorry,
this
Chris.
Is so fun.
It isn't so fun.
Next week.
We can do it every week. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And Chris, thanks for coaching my kid for so long and putting up with her.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the hardest part is just now dealing with my wife. I mean, he took her away, but I'll give her credit. She did it. Great job, Liz.
Liz. I love you, Liz. Thanks for getting my kid into college.
Oh, wow. That's a family affair over there. You had both Coach Arnold and Coach Blount. Wow.
She wasn't invited to the wedding, though, Chris.
Ooh. Well.
I mean, we coached so many kids, like,
I can't imagine.
I invited my 2005 boys. Actually, I bet them. Did I tell you about this?
Listen to this.
If they won state cup, so we made a bet. If you win state cup, you're invited to the wedding. And these guys went out and won state cup. And yeah.
I love it.
Oh.
Well, thank you to everyone at ASA for all that you do. I love, as a coach, it's one of the best because I get so much coaching support from your office. It's great.
Oh, good.
People come out and show me stuff. I get pennies. I mean, if anyone wants to be a coach somewhere, go to ASA and sign up to be a coach. They'll just outfit you and give you training and then give you a whole cute bunch of kids who all they want to do is play soccer. It's dreamy.
Well, we'll hope to see you on the field again soon. So soon.
Great. Awesome. Is that it? Are we out of time?
I think we're out of time.
We did it.
Right at the end.
Yes.
Way to go.
Thanks for joining.
Like a present.
Should we finish out with some tunes or?
Yeah, let's do it.
Of course.
There it is. There it is.
Philomena will be so happy that you did this.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Chris.